as a part of our ongoing initiative titled Leadership Dialogues, the Confederation of Indian Private Universities conducts brief, insightful interviews with the eminent academic and industry leaders. These conversations are shared widely with the universities across India and added to our national knowledge repository. So today we will have our leadership dialogue with Dr. Jayathi Murthy. So Dr. Jayathi, a national leader in higher education, engineering teaching, research and service, began her service as the Oregon State University's 16th president on September 9, 2022. As OSU's president, Murthy is committed to improving access to the college for all learners, advancing student success, undergraduate graduation rates, and inclusive excellence throughout the university, expanding OSU's strong research portfolio by investing in research infrastructure and supporting faculty excellence in teaching, scholarship, research, and extension and engagement programs. Prior to joining Oregon State, Murthy served as the first woman dean of the UCLA Henry Samuel School of Engineering and Applied Sciences since January 2016. Murthy also served as a chair the Mechanical Engineering Department at the University of Texas at Austin from 2012 to 2015. Worked as a professor of mechanical engineering at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh from 1998 to 2001. Murthy began her academic career at Arizona State University in 1984. From 1988 to 2001, from 1998 to 2001, worked at a New Hampshire-based Fluent Inc., a developer and a vendor of the world's most widely used computational fluid dynamics software. Murthy received a doctorate in mechanical engineering from University of Minnesota, a master degree in mechanical engineering from Washington State University, and bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, where she was named a distinguished alumna in 2012. So we welcome you, ma'am, in today's discussion.
Thank you.
So, ma'am, let's start with the first question. How do you view the evolving role in universities in addressing grand challenges such as climate change, equity, and technological disruption? How can Indian institutions align with such global missions?
Excellent question. Thank you. Look, first of all, I think it's important for universities to acknowledge that they actually have a role in these big global missions. All right. So it's not enough simply to teach undergraduates, mechanical engineering or economics or whatever else, but to place that education in the larger context of the issues that face, both India and the globe. Right. So one can think about this in a number of different ways. One is just education itself, graduate and undergraduate education. I think the framing of our educational content in this broader context is really important, and it's useful because students then see the context in which they're learning the things that they're learning, or it places their knowledge in context. So infusing that through the educational process, through the degree granting process is really important. The other role that universities have, both in India, in the US, and in the world, is in knowledge creation, right? We all, most of us have a research mission. And part of our research mission is actually to create the fundamental knowledge that can drive solutions to these global problems. This can be scientific knowledge, it can be knowledge in economics, it can be sociological knowledge, other kinds of knowledge as well. But to create that base is critically important. Interestingly, though, increasingly, certainly in the US, there is a feeling that universities have to play a role not just in creating basic knowledge, but in translating this knowledge into actual products, into designs, into action. And so translational work becomes really important, right? I should say that many of the issues that are facing the globe today are actually global, all right? Issues around energy, issues around climate change, issues around hunger. These are global issues. And so I think it's really, really important for Indian universities to connect up globally, all right? To, of course, bring the local context, because what's happening in India may be local to the particular place, but to always connect across the globe.
Wonderful, ma'am. So, moving towards the question two, in what ways can Indian universities strengthen their research ecosystem and industry linkages, especially when aspiring to become a research-driven and innovation-oriented like many US public universities?
Great question. And first of all, I really commend the mission, all right? I mean, just the desire to be building out a research ecosystem. And you've added the word innovation, which I think is really important. So, uh, I think Indian universities and leadership of Indian universities have to think very deeply about what that research mission really is, because we are operating in a context, right? So we're operating in a context where places like the US have built research ecosystems far earlier than India has, simply because of our historical and sociological pathway that we've taken. And so there is deep thinking to be done about what the investments in deep fundamental research have to be. Are we really going to be doing particle physics? Are we really going to be doing cosmology? Should we be operating much closer to the translational point? Should we be fast followers? So there are fundamental questions of research design and the design of the ecosystem that I think Indian leadership really has to examine. There are other models. I mean, for example, you can see the way China did it, which is really to start with being fast followers or second followers, but now rapidly evolving into a much more basic space. Right. So that's an important set of design decisions to be made when you're talking about a research ecosystem. I love the word, love the area that you're thinking about, which is industry linkages and an innovation orientation, and this is deeply important. For me personally, it does not make sense for India to be thinking about knowledge generation as, these deep thinkers sitting on top of the mountain, gazing at their navels and thinking deep thoughts. I don't think that can be the model. All right. I really do think that we have to be driven by practical need, the need that's on the ground, and most important of all, to be creating a mindset that is creative and active and energetic and problem solving. That's the kind of knowledge that I would really like to see us pursue.
What strategies have worked for you in creating inclusive, student centered campuses, and how can these be adapted to culturally diverse and resource variable Indian university contexts?
Again, terrific question. I should say that cultural diversity and resource variability is a feature of the US public university system as well. All right. So there are universities with a lot of resources, there are universities with very few resources. And this depends on how, the particular state funds their university system. Different states have different resources and different commitment to higher education. So we work in that context as well. And cultural diversity is also a feature of US universities. So, because of our immigration, openness to immigration over the years in the USA, we have a wide variety of people coming in. So certainly ethnically diverse, but also socioeconomically diverse. I mean, rich people, poor people, all of these are a part of the public university system here. And there is, I would say, a deep commitment to making, to democracy, and therefore seeing higher education as central to democracy. All right. I mean, you can't have a democratic system where entire groups of people are completely shut out of a pathway to self-improvement and growth. So, and that is true in India and that is true in the US. So everybody needs to understand that a commitment to higher education and the inclusiveness of higher education is a central feature of a democratic system. You cannot have it, you cannot have one without the other, all right? And we at Oregon State believe that centrally. So what are we doing, right? So our focus has always been that we will be known by whom we include, not whom we exclude. All right, that is the driving philosophical setting of my university. What does that mean? That doesn't mean, so what that means is that we don't take great pride and pleasure in saying, hey, our admission rate is 5% or 1%. We kick out 99% and therefore we are wonderful. That's not where we're coming from. All right. Our philosophy is we're going to bring everybody in that we can bring in who is prepared and willing and able to work. And we're going to do everything we can to make that person succeed and get a degree and do well in life. Or it's a very, very different framework in how you think about your students. This is not about high competition and everybody killing each other and you just pick out, 4 or 5 geniuses and you give them a degree. That's not where we are, right? So our structure is centrally set up to bring students in, to figure out where the students are in terms of the preparation spectrum, and create pathways for them through student advising, through student support, frequently monetary need. I mean, we have many students who come in who will drop out because they just don't have the money to continue in college. So addressing monetary need, detecting monetary need, even figuring out who needs the extra $1,000 to get a set of tires on their car so they can drive into the university, who doesn't have money for the next 6 months of rent. These are the kinds of things that we try to address, all right? So that's what I'm saying. I mean, so if Indian universities are serious about access and student-centric campuses, the mindset has to go from dog eat dog. We pick out the few standing remains and remaining students, and we see them through. That can't be it. You have to have a mindset of we're here to take whatever raw talent there is from whatever pathway the students took, and we're here to make them successful.
Wonderful, ma'am. Wonderful. So, going to the next question, with the growing emphasis on international collaborations, what models of partnerships, academic research, or mobility do you believe offer the most impact, and how can Indian universities position themselves as a strong global partners?
First of all, let me say that the global connection is very, very important. All right. So there can't be research and there can't even be student education and training which does not place itself in a global context because the world is open, people travel all over, people are born in one place, live in another, work in a third, and that is going to continue. All right. So weaving that into the central design of the educational system is really important. It's not cheap, it is expensive, but if you don't do it, you get these really inward looking ecosystems which don't work very well. Right now, what kind of partnerships work? I think partnerships work when there is a mutual benefit to be had on both sides, right? So there are no partnerships that survive if only one side gains something from it. So it is really important in designing these partnerships to think about the advantages to both sides, right? What are the advantages as far as the US academic system is concerned? It is very bright young Indian students, who are well prepared and working hard and ambitious, and they bring a lot of energy into the American higher ed system. That is the great advantage. Right now, what is the advantage to the Indian system? There are many. I mean, to be connected to fast-moving research, ecosystems is really important. To be working on cutting-edge problems is really important. And so when we architect these systems, we have to think about the advantage to both sides. I should say that the funding ecosystem in the US is now, of course, up for grabs. We don't really know, how this will evolve. Working out the economics would be really important, all right? The old rules may not work so well anymore.
Great, ma'am. Moving to the next question. What advice would you give to young faculty members and academic administrators in India who are aspiring to build world class institutions grounded in both local relevance and global standards?
Uh, yeah, so being an administrator, let me pick up on the administrative question first. If you're going to be building a world-class institution, the first thing you got to do is build culture, right? I mean, I'm so keenly aware of that in my role as president. Institutional culture absolutely matters, right? And what are the elements of such an institutional culture? I would say, first of all, deep respect for freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of investigation. So the people that work in our academic institutions have to have the ability to pursue lines of inquiry of their own choosing, of their own curiosity, and to the greatest extent possible. So this is tied centrally again to the idea of democracy. So academic freedom in the university context is exactly a mirror of the broader democratic tradition. If we don't support broad academic freedom, you will never get research that's worth anything. So that's part of it. The second thing has to be an absolute commitment to excellence, all right? Not politics, not some, other factors, but a deep, deep focus on delivering excellence and therefore building faculties who are committed to that kind of excellence is really important. So what does that mean? I mean, you have to think about, again, administrative systems. You have to think about, uh, you know, ideas like tenure, which have really built excellence in the US context, recognitions, promotion criteria. All of these things have to be clearly and well designed, but at the heart of it is really culture. Right. And what is my advice to young faculty members? It's exactly this. I mean, don't be so worried about citation indices and H indices and racking up hundreds of thousands of publications. I see resumes like that all the time, and I will tell you that I pay them no attention. All right. What matters is the core value of the work that you do. All right. So centrally, the work has to be excellent. I don't care, numbers tell you some things, they don't tell you most things, right? And so, young people have to focus on the central excellence of the work that they're doing, right? And don't just play the game is would be the biggest advice that I would give young faculty.